How's everyone doing? This is Mr. Nolan, and we're going to be talking about your 9D notes on invaders. Um, so here we go. All right, couple of different groups of invaders that we're going to talk about. These people are going to wreak havoc on Europe during this time period, that 500 to 1000 CE window that we've been talking about, this unit. The first one are Angles and Saxons. Yes, we've got all kinds of angles, acute ones, right ones, even obtuse angles, and those obtuse ones are really, really, really tough. All right, but in all seriousness, one of the first groups we're going to talk about are the Angles and the Saxons. In the 5th and 6th centuries, and for those of you still trying to figure out what the centuries mean, that's going to be the 400s and the 500s CE. In the 5th and 6th centuries, Angles and Saxons are going to cross from Germany, Holland, and Denmark, and they're going to invade Britain. These people claimed almost all of Britain except for a few pockets. So, for those of you who don't know this, we have an ethnic term for what most of us that descend, I can't even really say that. The ethnic term for people who are British or of British descent at this point in time, just like the Franks are the French, or people from the Arabian Peninsula are Arab, so on and so forth. Ethnically British at this point in time, and those of us who are pretty much white descendants of colonists are the same way, are known as Anglo-Saxons. Okay? And that's where that comes from. Is the Angles and the Saxons are going to take over Britain about the exact same time that the Roman Empire is falling, and that's why when we refer to ourselves now, Anglo-Saxons, or people from Britain, or of that descent. So that's our first group of invaders that you have to know. They're primarily going into Britain. All right, our next group, and one of our more fun ones, is the Vikings. Okay, Vikings are Norse raiders. They're primarily going to be from Scandinavia, so Norway, Sweden, a little bit northern Denmark. Their reach is going to include many places: Britain, France, Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Russia, North Africa. Okay, the Vikings load up in those long ships and they go all over the place. And yes, I said North America. The Minnesota Vikings are not named the Vikings because they thought it was a cool name. It is a cool name. But the Minnesota Vikings are partially named the Vikings because there's evidence that Vikings reached Minnesota 500 years before Columbus set sail. So the Vikings are going to get a lot of different places. They wreak a lot of havoc. When we say raiders, that means they're attacking towns. They're not capturing them and controlling them. They're sacking. They're looting the towns. They're going into a town. They're burning it to the ground. They're killing everyone, and they're taking all the loot. Okay, that's a raider, and then they're leaving. Alrighty, so the Vikings are Norse raiders. They're going to create a lot of havoc. In the 9th century, the Vikings are even going to conduct fierce raids on England, which are going to be held back by a guy named Alfred the Great. Okay, and Alfred the Great, when he's done fighting off the Vikings, will actually help Batman fight off Superman. Well, not really. So Alfred the Great is going to hold off the Vikings, and then he and his successors are actually able to unite the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms to form what we know as the English crown. So these Vikings are actually going to lead to the creation of the English throne, which still exists today. And moving on into our most havoc-wreaking group here are the Magyars. Okay, as the Viking invasions begin to decline, a new group is going to start invading from modern-day Hungary in Eastern Europe, a little bit north of Greece. Okay, as you can see over here. All right, these guys are excellent horsemen, and they're going to invade Western Europe in the late 800s. Remember, Charlemagne gets named Holy Roman Empire in the year 800, and that's the height of the Frankish Empire, the height of the Holy Roman Empire, and then it's going to start to decline. And the Magyars and the Vikings, but mostly the Magyars, are a huge reason why we're going to see that decline. They're going to overrun northern Italy. They're going to reach the Rhineland in Germany. Okay, the Magyars are not looking to conquer new territories, just like we were talking about with the Vikings being raiders. The Magyars are attacking a new land simply to take resources. In this case, the resource they're looking for are slaves. So the Magyars will take a group of pack of people on horses. They'll attack a town, they'll burn it, and they'll take slaves, and they'll leave in the night, real quickly. All right, and this is where the influence of the invaders is important, and this is why the videos are out of order, this unit, and why you need to do B last. We've talked about Charlemagne. We've talked about how that was the height of the Holy Roman Empire under him until about the year 814. After Charlemagne's death, there's not a strong Holy Roman Emperor, and then these invaders start to happen as well. So you have the Vikings attacking in the north, you have the Magyars attacking on horseback, looking for slaves, and terrorizing the countryside in Western Europe. So the invaders are going to take advantage of this weakness. They're going to raid the countryside and rob people. People are going to start looking to local leaders for protection because the kings were too weak. Okay? Our Holy Roman emperors were not strong enough during this time period. They didn't have enough control or power with the military to hold off Viking and Magyar invasions. So this is going to reinforce the protection that becomes offered by the feudal system and the manor system. People are not able to get protection from the bigwig, so they're starting to look for local help. All right? So instead of saying, hey, Prince William County, help us out, they can't help us, so we're just focused on what Mr. Laveley and Dr. Bishop could do. All right? So that is the influence of invaders. It's going to drive apart Western Europe and force the feudal system to happen. And we're going to talk about the feudal system here in the last video of this unit. It's not the greatest way to live life, but what you need to understand is as much about where the invaders are from, it's the fact that the invaders caused the feudal system to strengthen. And that's it for this video, guys.